What's up, everybody? Back Friday, just got home from work. Got our shipment in that we was waiting on, so that's good. So we're down here today, kind of getting everything ready right now. Right now we're just cleaning the ports up, making sure everything's good, just kind of lining everything out. These are hold down clamps, got our box of injectors right there. Right now just kind of getting stuff put in, getting the studs ready. Gotta make sure you put these things in right here, these little platforms. Do not forget those. Yeah, we're just going to kick it off and see what we can get into today, and see where this takes us. Okay, I got a little debate with myself going on here. I got Loctite 272 and Loctite 277. 277 says that it's heavy duty. We got Thread Locker 272 states high strength. I tried to pull up some information on both. I'm really not for sure which is which. I think 272 is more preferred throughout the industry from what I've learned. The only thing I can really gather is 272 is more of a high temperature. It takes a little bit more for it to redissolve into a liquid from a solid state. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and go with the old 272 here and give it a whirl, I guess. I mean, it seems like everybody that does anything like this, you know, they want to go with the 272. So we'll just see what happens, and hopefully it doesn't break loose, because that'd be a bad day. So bring you over here. I'm going to start lubing these up right here. Lubing these O-rings up. I'm going to start dropping them in after I get the rest of these studs cleaned up and put in. Basically just gonna brake clean the cosmoline off these things, which is a you know, just a part protectant from whenever they make these things. So just clean the junk off of it and should be ready to rock and roll. Trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. Probably am. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to fill you in on a little something what I just done there. Got on these O-rings right here, make sure you put a little bit of motor oil on that. These things don't like it whenever you put them in dry. You never put an O-ring in dry. unless it's some kind of special application. So, a little tidbit there for anybody who didn't realize that or didn't know. So, put your Loctite on this surface right here on your angle. Don't really necessarily worry about that. We're going to go ahead and kind of cover that up too. I'm feeling as if you can't necessarily go too much here. I'm sure you can, but with moderation. So we're just going to smear it around like so. See? Maybe a little bit more. Well, that might be a little bit too much. Get a nice coating there. I think what we want to do is use 3/8 socket extension. Put it in there just like that. Shove it in there. Okay, we got all of our cups installed. I'm gonna bring you over here to take a gander. I got me a little tripod, that's why I'm kind of shaking all over the place, because I'm fancy like that. So, there's our cups. I think one of the main things is to make sure, is just to kind of go around and make sure and feel with your finger that all your cups are the same height compared to your head surface right here. You know, just to make sure that they're all the same. Make sure one's not sticking up more than the other, because that could lead to problems, you know. Because it's going to mess with your angle of whenever that thing sits in here, your clamp. The angle is extremely important. I gotta look at the green dot instead of the screen. Pardon, I'm still getting used to this. So here's the other side, just to at least let you take a look at that. Just look at it. So looks pretty good. Went in smooth. You know, it is a tight fit from, you know, the little tang that sticks out from the cup, and as it goes down into the head, it is a tight fit. So just kind of be cautious about that. Another thing too, use a dead blow. Don't use a regular hammer, because you run the risk of screwing up your seat in your cup. That's extremely crucial, because the only thing that's sealing the thing off is a little copper washer. So you don't want any defects in that whatsoever, especially in brand new cups. So that turned into a bad day. And I'll show you, and this is just here for people who just don't know yet, and that's okay. So here's the little package that got sent to me by Exergy. These are your seals here. All right, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do. What's that? You got a daggone stand. Set you all up. Adjustment. Bring you down. Oh yeah, we are professionals now. So, copper washer for each injector. You will have these bigger ones are going to go on the body of the injector itself. That actually goes inside of the cup. Okay. These smaller ones are for your feed line. Yes, feed line. I think. And I will show you this here directly. Got all that lined out right there. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now here is number one. Here's how they will come packaged, just like so. Very nice. And what I did whenever I sent these in, these aren't brand new, by the way. These are used. These are brand used, I guess, if you want to call it that. The only thing it does is just baseline the things anyway, so it's not like they've done a complete overhaul on them, but they look new. So you have your washer, or shoot, O-ring goes right there. Okay, then you have an O-ring, these smaller ones, that will go right here. That will sit right there in between the threads and the shelf right here. That's what's going to help seal off. Because what this does is this O-ring sits in here, and if you don't completely get this tight, and turn around, I was sitting here talking to myself. Get this tight, see how that's chamfered in there? Well, your line goes in there, and just by sheer force, it seals it perfectly. Well, if you don't get that tight enough, okay, it's going to leak out of that. So instead of running down into, because this part is inside your valve cover, so instead of running back inside your oil into your valve cover inside your engine, this O-ring right here prevents that from happening. So it's going to come out the top. So as long as you do a proper install, this really doesn't matter. But I'm not saying don't put on the O-ring or nothing. But yeah, and of course this goes right there. That's all that seals that. That's it. So extremely important. Like I say, cleanliness, precision is extremely important. Check all your sealing surfaces inside even your brand new cup. You want to check that, just to make sure, because this is a big job now. The other thing too, I don't know if you all can see that, it's etched number 1. What I've done whenever I set them in, I just simply put a Sharpie on there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, what have you. So the reason why I've done that is, yes, you can swap them around. It doesn't matter at this point, because they're all already balanced to each other, rebalanced. And I think only had one or two or something like that was off anyway. So it doesn't really matter going back. But what I'd done before I pulled this apart, I took my EFI Live and I took a baseline. I figured out where my return rates, what my return rates are before I pulled this engine out, did all this just to get a starting point of where it's all at. Now remember, only reason why I pulled this apart is because I had a cracked head. But with that being said, your injector lines, whenever you pull these things apart, and this is the main reason why I've done this. Okay, pull these things apart. Of course, I'm still going to ultrasonic clean these. I'm not going to put them back just like this. You never do that. So, whenever you take these things off, there's gunk, junk, whatnot that gets down in this, little space right there. Even with it tightened up, it's still going to have a little space where junk can fall down in there. And you see where it's got a little bit of play in there? What's going to happen whenever you crack that dude open? And that thing starts picking up, and you're twisting it because this end's still in your rail. Well, all that junk that's in there, it's going to fall right down in your injector hole. So, and it's going to fall right down in this hole right here. Shoot, sorry. This one. So, with that being said, that is why I sent these things in. I didn't send these things in just because I thought they was bad. They wasn't bad. I just wanted to have them looked over and made sure, hey, these things are good to go. Because I don't want to do this junk again. So, and I'm not going to talk pricing or nothing like that. And that whatever's, the price is the price. I'm not going to tell you the price, but it was reasonably priced. I will say that. So, bring y'all back up here to my level. I'm going to prop you up over here this time. No, I don't like it. Let's bring it back down. So, yeah. Now I got sidetracked. So anyway, yes, they etched this in. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to be putting this back in the number 1 hole for the sole purpose of, okay, let's see what happened this time. Each injector goes back in the same hole. You know what the baseline is before you even tore this engine apart. So you're going to see a difference. Did it help? Did it hurt? Okay. Well, 2 years down the road, this thing, number 7's acting up again. It's the same injector from the last time, from whenever it was baseline. So you have a problem with that certain injector. It's just, of course, you're probably going to end up, the smart thing to do is if one goes bad, pull them all, just for the sole fact of you get them balanced. I think that's extremely important because, and this is just for me, not necessarily talking to Extra G, but just simply learning from videos from professionals that do this every day, day in, day out. I'm not a professional at this by no means, stretch, form, or fashion. So, I guess what I'm saying is take this with a grain of salt, I guess. So, and this is just how I feel about it. So, to get the most out of your injector, you want them balanced. It's just like internal, balancing an engine, like an engine builder. To me, you got one cylinder burning richer than another. Well, that's going to throw off the balance, and it's not going to run as smooth. So you want each injector performing as close to identical as you possibly can to make it run smooth. Longevity, not as hard on parts. And this goes even into high horsepower stuff, clear from stock, clear up to, you know, UCC level caliber stuff. And that's why I sent these in. I want to make sure they're right. So, and we're talking about a lot of money here. I'm not, you know, made of money by no means, stretch or form. You know, I work overtime to be able to do this. So, just telling you how it is. So we're going to go ahead and prep, pull all the injectors out of the box, lay them out here, get them lined up by numbered, and we'll just go trucking like right along with installing everything. And I don't know how long I'll be out here this evening, but we'll check back with you after a while. All right, that's it. It is finished with that part anyway. So we got everything in, everything torqued down. Like again, I said, I'm gonna leave the caps on, just kind of keep stuff out of it. Another thing too, put my torque wrench up. Probably should have videoed that. But whenever you put these things in, what I've found is I've had problems out of this before. Is you make sure everything's perfectly clean. You torque it to the exact spec. You go by the book. I got a Haynes book. Go by that. And you do your absolute very best to try to seat these things in properly. What I have found, and nobody really talks about it, is whenever you set these things in, there's your bolt right there that you tighten it down. That's the bolt and stud that holds it down. Of course, you know, if you don't have that, you're just gonna have a bolt. But with one hand, you slowly tighten this down with a very short, you don't put very much torque on it at all. And you rock this thing back and forth. And slowly turn it down. And you'll get like a little bit of a play, and then it'll slowly, you can just barely feel it. Keep on torquing it down, and all of a sudden you'll find its seat. And what that's doing is finding its place to where it's flush on the copper. I've found that, and this has happened to me in the past, and I'm pretty sure that it's happened to some of you, that you'll get blowback coming out around the injector, coming into the valve cover. And I'd say that's what it is that whenever you tighten that down, the injector might be just kinked just oh so slightly. So that's the best way to try to set that in as flush as possible, is just slowly cranking that bolt down until you get no play in it. You'll feel it getting tighter, 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 and then it'll stop. That's whenever you know you should be centered. Instead of just sticking it in there, throwing a bolt in there, cranking it down, it could be, without doing that, it could be cocked a little bit, because there is play. Because if you remember, the O-ring is towards the upper part of the injector. So, kind of like a little thing that I found out that nobody really talks about. And I'm pretty sure that it has to be a lot better way of doing it. So, so it's about as far as I'm going to go this evening. I'm going to let everything set overnight. I'll come back. re-torqued to the exact spec that I torqued to tonight, which is 55 pound, which is not what you torque to with a stock hold down clamp and bolt, which is, I think, 35 foot-pound. Again, this is aftermarket. This is not stock. These here are your stock setup. Of course, you see you got a bolt. And whenever you torque these things down, you can actually feel it flexing, which is pretty pathetic whenever you think about how much pressure that these things are being asked to hold. Anyway, here is the spreadsheet that you will receive. All green means all good. So you can pause that if you really want to dive down into it. Honestly, I really don't know what half that stuff means. I wish they had like a guide that breaks it down and tells you, kind of dumbs it down for you a little bit. It's a little bit over my head whenever it comes to that. That's why I let the professionals do it. So, guys, I appreciate you hanging with me this evening, and hopefully we'll get back on this soon. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you later.